Assalamu alaikum. Okay, we're having issues with Facebook here, but anyway, we'll fix that during commercial break. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Sajdah channel. Long live the spirit of the Million Man March and the Holy Day of Atonement. That's what we're going to talk about today on the Sajdah channel. So be a friend, tell a friend. Look, I think I did a show. I'll replay it. I did a show last year where we talked about how to use the 8 steps of atonement in your HR practices. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. All right. Let's get this fixed here. Let's see. So those of you who normally watch on Facebook, looks like you may not be able to see us for a couple of minutes, but we'll get it fixed and we'll see you soon.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajdah channel. Happy Holy Day of Atonement, and long live the spirit of the Million Man March. We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March, October 16th, 1995. I know most of my my demographic, 60% of my audience are Black men, and so I just want to give a salute out to you all because look, as a sister, to see that beautiful and amazing sea of just incredible, magical Black man energy. They talk about Black girl magic, but look, that was Black man magic. It was amazing. And I was looking at it. I've actually looked at it twice leading up to this week's events, and the beauty of it, the energy, the peace, the just seeing those brothers. I'm unapologetically down for my brothers and for Black men, and I unapologetically love Black men. And so seeing that was just amazing to me. The sea of it, the energy of it, the flow of it, the minister was incredible. I mean, it was awesome. And I'm happy to see that there have been more podcasts and even some news outlets that covered it this year, especially probably in light of it being its 30th anniversary, because nowadays it's like, Black men, that Black male energy that we saw at the march is like an endangered species energy almost. It's something. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about they were putting together an organization, and I said, look, you have to make sure that you preserve a certain amount of programming and space for Black men. And they looked at me like I was an alien. Because in the broader community, it's like Black men have all been forgotten. But I'm here to tell you, brothers, in those spaces, I'm speaking for you. I'm representing you. Like, look, get us a brother in here. And so many sisters have just given up on Black men, Black male love. People like myself, we're dinosaurs out here. I always say to people, I said, look, if Tyrone and Abdul don't get themselves together, sisters like me is in trouble. But long live the spirit of the Million Man March. This is what I want to do this morning. Two things. One, I want to play the pledge that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, with his beautiful self, gave to the brothers on at the Million Man March. Okay. And it was just, it's such beautiful energy. I want to share that. But one of the things y'all know we always do around this time of the year is talk about how to take the 8 steps of atonement and use them as HR practices in our business. And I'll replay some of those shows where we talked about that. I just want to go through the 8 steps of atonement. I want to talk a little bit about how we can fold that into our policies and procedures so that every October, we just have a personnel resurgence, a renewal of our personnel goals and our human resources goals in our companies, and maybe even having corporate activities around those 8 steps of atonement. Okay. And listen, in your business, make sure you got some black male energy there. I'm just saying, we are getting to the point where people are so turned away and turned off from black men. And don't get me wrong, we all got stuff we got to work on, but it's just nothing like the energy of a black man that is striving to be right. Now, I'm not talking about the ratchetness stuff. I'm not talking about those that have disappointed us in relationships and things like that. There's some good brothers out here, and there's some brothers striving. And I actually believe that there's a lot more brothers striving to be right today than there have been in recent years. You have a lot of brothers that are stepping up and striving and want to be right in their relationships with us, in their businesses. I actually had a visit yesterday from some very powerful and beautiful black men, lawyers, developers, financial people, and it was just refreshing, so amazing. My sister Aletha's not here, but we hosted them yesterday. It was just amazing. But so for me, y'all know I'm down for y'all. That's why my demographics, if you look at my demographics, 60% of my supporters and followers are black men. So anyway, let's look at the pledge from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he gave, that was recited to the brothers there. I was looking at the whole thing. I was looking at Marion Barry, and he had on this sharp African blazer. And I mean, so many people that were there that spoke that are no longer with us. And so if you get a chance, it's 2 hours and 55 minutes, but it's really worth it, you know, to just turn it on and check it out. You watch movies, you watch all these programs and stuff. So y'all look at that. Look at everybody who spoke. Just, you know, go to YouTube and put in Million Man March full episode or full something, and then it'll give you the whole thing. When you look at it, if the time doesn't say like 2 hours and 55 minutes, you know that's not the whole thing. Okay. Also, when we say long live the spirit of the Million Man March, I want us to be very clear and very intentional with the energy that we think about when we realize that the revelation of bringing almost 2 million men to Washington, D.C. as an act of atonement came through the beautiful soul of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I also been watching news reports where they're talking about the Million Man March. They don't say nothing about him. Listen, this idea of unpersoning and rebranding episodes in history is very real. And they're using things like TikTok and X to do this. So it's a repackaging using AI, putting that stuff together. And then when they're getting us calibrated to the voices of AI, and then AI is saying, giving a narrative of what happened and what things like the Million Man March are and who these particular historic figures are, and they're leaving out certain key points. So it's very, very important that we tell our story. All right, so let's do this. Let's bring this on so that we can check this out, and give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear it. Oops.
Take this pledge with me. Say with me, please. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will strive to love my brother as I love myself. I say your name. From this day forward, will strive to improve myself spiritually, morally, mentally, socially, politically, and economically, for the benefit of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that I will strive to build business, build houses, build hospitals, build factories, and enter into international trade for the good of myself, my family, and my people. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never raise my hand with a knife or a gun to beat, cut, or shoot any member of my family or any human being except in self-defense. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will never abuse my wife by striking her, disrespecting her. For she is the mother of my children and the producer of my future. I say your name. Pledge that from this day forward, I will never engage in the abuse of children, little boys or little girls, for sexual gratification. But I will let them grow in peace, to be strong men and women for the future of our people. I say your name. Will never again use the B word to describe any female, but particularly my own black sister. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward that I will not poison my body with drugs or that which is destructive to my health and my well-being. I say your name. Pledge from this day forward, I will support black newspapers, black radio, black television. I will support black artists who clean up their acts
Thank you to the Final Call Media for posting that and putting that out there. I could look at that. I've already looked at it probably 5 times this morning. It just makes me emotional just seeing it. Welcome and happy Holy Day of Atonement to those of you who have tuned in. Listen, y'all, let's atone. The minister's already told us, settle our differences. Some of us, we lose our businesses, we lose our families because we need to atone. And generally, when there's some type of cancer or perversion or some kind of issue in the family or the business, listen, get those people together and figure out how to atone. And if you can't get them together, then you get with the other people in the organization and you all atone. It's time to settle our differences. We are at war, literally. And if y'all haven't noticed, we are at war. And if we don't settle our differences, we can't have one another's back. Okay. And it's just nothing like brothers and sisters coming together and just loving on one another, supporting one another, building together, building businesses together, helping this colonized, rugged individual mindset that we have got to get that out of our system. We just have to. We have to figure out how to support and love one another, or else we messed up, y'all. Let's go over these 8 steps of atonement, okay? As part of the October 16th, 1995 Million Man March and its themes of atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility, the 8 steps in the atonement process were presented to promote peace and settle differences. Okay. Just like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told us there would be tanks in the streets, he told us at the same time, settle your differences. It's time out for everybody to be isolated. And, we have to go and we have to check on our elderly. They really should not be living alone. They should have somebody checking on them, at least if they have somebody that's connecting with them, making sure that they're okay. Our children should be protected. They should be able to go to school in peace and comfort and to be able to learn. And part of making sure that that happens means that we have to atone with one another. I was going to say this as the pledge came. See, after the Million Man March, you saw all this pop culture beefing between Black men and Black women. You saw the rise of women giving up on men and men giving up on women and everybody going into their silos. This is by design. Right after the Million Man March, because that was so attractive and so amazing. And so many brothers came home and got married and adoptions went up. You know that some of the best single parents out here are Black men. That's a statistic. But then all of a sudden, the surge of the internet, but the main theme on the internet became Black men versus Black women. Degrading the Black woman, not protecting the Black woman. We had people when back in the day, 95 and prior, you couldn't mess with somebody's sister or somebody's auntie or a woman in their family. You could not mess with them. The brothers somebody just said they quit smoking cigarettes on that day. Brother Lamont had a beautiful testimony. He talked about the sisters cheering them on as they walked through the streets of Washington, D.C. You had a time when Black women opened businesses and did things, it was the brothers who were supporting. When I was in Houston, we went to Lucille's and I was looking at that sister on the wall and I was reading up about her. How many Black men did she feed? Did she take care of? That supported her? But nowadays, we in this thing where men are competing against women. I remember when I was growing up, I remember my stepbrother used to walk me to school. When some girls would get jealous of me or whatever, I'd come out of school and my stepbrother, Lil John, be right there. And he's always been kind of this quiet, unassuming person. But people knew, okay, don't mess with her. She got a big brother. I remember that. But it's like, now we've gotten to the point where that kind of interaction between men and women or males and females don't happen anymore. You got the brothers who done gave up on the sisters. You got the sisters who done gave up on the brothers, whether they do it sexually or emotionally. It's just people just giving up. That competition is terrible. That's right, Sister Betty. That it's bad. So we got to get back to supporting one another. You know, I was also reading, y'all know my mentor in my head is Annie Malone. And I was reading about how many men supported her, guarded her businesses, made sure that the white people who were jealous of her company didn't come for her. And she was able to grow and thrive as a business person until she got taken down by somebody she married. But you know what happened? She moved to Chicago and started building back up again. And it was the brothers that were supporting her. So we just got to get back to that, y'all. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's my soapbox. That's my plea to Black men, because I honor and I love me some Black men. So I just want to see us do more and do better, and just take our community back to, not back to, but just forward. You know, that's all I'm saying. Anyway, the 8 steps of atonement, I want to go over those because we can apply them personally and in our businesses. We can, one of the things that I talked about, and I do talk about a lot of times with my clients, is how to take these 8 steps and fold them into their HR practices. A lot of businesses fail because you get a cancer in the organization because there's been the rotting of some type of relationship. People start messing around with each other in the company. They start competing with one another, and it creates a cancer that begins to spread. And so sometimes you got to cut the cancer out and get rid of it. Other times you can go through this atonement process to get people to get on the right track. And I would strongly urge that if you are out here and you working for one of these Black businesses that are out here, get yourself together and start atoning. Get there to learn, get there to study, support that Black businesses, because a lot of these companies are not going to be around. These companies that you may be striving to work for may not keep you and I on very long, especially now that the trend is that they don't need DEI, don't hire Black people. This is becoming a corporate trend. But there's enough of us as corporate professionals out here that are doing ventures, that are starting businesses, where if we would unite, if you all would support around those of us that are doing that, we can then begin to provide opportunities for others. Okay, but it's going to take us being united. So step 1, okay, in the atonement and reconciliation process is that someone must point out the wrong. Okay, this is the no judgment zone. Whatever is wrong, point it out. Whether you're right or wrong, it's just wrong to you. Okay, and that's how we're going to go down. This is whether it's in a corporate setting or a personal setting. Somebody must point out the wrong. Then number 2, on the other side of the table, that wrong must be acknowledged. So you can't say, oh, no, you ain't wrong. This ain't happened to you. You know, no attacking, but just going, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that either that is wrong or that I did wrong, or I'm going to acknowledge that you feel that way. Okay. Number 3, confess the fault. First to Allah, then to those offended. The first to Allah is actually, it tickles me because I'll tell you a quick story. I grew up Catholic. Somebody interviewed me the other day. They said they were going to call the interview from catechism to Islam. And I was like, you really started some mess now. But and I took it seriously. I I took it seriously. I think for today to understand something. We were working on the play. There's a point in there where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says to Master Fard Muhammad, I'm paraphrasing, I know who you are. You are the one that has been prophesied to come. And I remember reading the hymnals with my grandmother. We read them every morning. I damn near learned how to read off of those things. And I still remember them to this day. And learning about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, the trilogy, and the power of three. And then as a student, I was in love with world history. And I know how much the symbol 3 pops up throughout the study of history. And so I was clear that the 3 was pointing to something. I did not learn, obviously it's from a Catholic standpoint, but I remember getting ready to go to confession. And my first confession was going to be that Sunday, and it was on a Saturday night. And my relationship with my grandmother is that I was one of the favorites. She ain't never hit me. She don't fuss at me. Everybody else got whoopings, but not me. Okay. So if you've grown up and you got that feeling of being the favorite and I never got in trouble, none of that. She loved her some me. Okay. But this particular day, she fussed at me, and her fussing at me pierced my heart. I remember I can feel the feeling in my heart right now, because she didn't fuss at me. She walked around with that belt over her shoulder, and my cousins and my brother and them, boy, they got it, but I didn't. And we were reading the little hymnal book, it's a little small book. And I was worried because I had done my first communion and I was getting ready to go to first confession. And I was asking her, I asked her something, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember exactly. I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I felt uncomfortable going to my first confession. And my grandmother just had this way of looking. She was reading and she looked up at me. And she said, don't you go in there and tell that white man all your business. She said, you get your butt upstairs and go talk to God. And then when you go talk to him tomorrow, you make up something. And I was like, we faking this? This ain't real. And I sat there and I remember sitting there. I didn't move. Must have been about 7 or 8 years old. And she said, get upstairs. And I went upstairs, and I used to have like the front bedroom that used to be my uncle's bedroom. And I went in there and I cried. But I cried to God. And it was the beginning of a very interpersonal relationship that I've had consciously, because I had a lot of metaphysical experiences with God leading up to that point in that house. But she fussed at me, and I don't know if I was crying because my feelings were hurt because she fussed at me, or if I was crying because I don't know, but I was crying. And I knew then that you first confess your faults to God. She embedded that with the pain of fussing at me into my heart. And I felt like I was up there for a long time. I don't know how long. I just remember she used to always walk real hard on the floor and on the stairs. And she walked real hard up the stairs. And I heard her go in her room. And she said, Pooh. And then I knew then I was okay because she came back to her voice. And she told me we were going to go somewhere. And because we used to walk everywhere. I think that's today why I love walking, because she didn't drive. And so we were going somewhere. And when I came downstairs, we were kind of, back to normal. And I remember, hugging her around her waist. And she never said nothing else about it, but it ingrained in my head. So when I hear this, confess the fault, first to Allah God, then to the offender. So that's what you do to the offended. I'm sorry. So someone got to point out the wrong. You want to acknowledge the wrong. Then you want to confess the fault first to God, then to the offended. And even if you still, as you're talking to the person, a lot of times you don't see it. Maybe you don't get it. But it's okay to say to Allah, like, I don't know what I've done, but somehow something that I've done has offended this person. And so help me to get to that point where I can see it, or we can find some form of reconciliation. Okay. Repentance, then, a feeling of remorse or contrition or shame for the past conduct which was wrong and sinful. That's number 4, repentance. Repentance, a feeling of remorse or contrition or shame for the past conduct which was wrong and sinful. And if you're in the workplace, sometimes you're working fast and everybody's trying to achieve the goals and everybody's worried about a paycheck and got all this stuff going on at home. Sometimes you offend people. And so just to acknowledge that. And just because you're at work don't mean that you can't invoke the spirit of Almighty God Allah. You can say, I've offended this person. And I don't think I've intended to, or maybe you did. Maybe you say, look, I was mad that day. I said some stuff I know I shouldn't have said. And so you're going to confess that to Allah. Then atonement, meaning to make amends and reparations for the wrong. So you want to, in your HR dealings, once you figure out what the wrong is and it's acknowledged, the person may say, I get it. I know I did that. They may say, you know what? I don't see it. You talk through that so that you can correct and repair the behavior and the interaction. It might be a communication style. Sometimes what's offensive to people in the work environment is a lot of times we bring home to work. So I've had managers that work for me and their only way of managing people is to treat them the way they would at home as a mother. And so they talk to people like they're children. Some people don't have an on-off switch. In relationships, they deal with everybody like they're a child. And that can be offensive to people. Where you start dictating, you know how with a child, you'll say, I know you're hungry, sit down somewhere. And they actually bring that into the workplace. Oh, you're doing that because you're hungry, you're tired. It's offensive, especially when as women, we're managing men. And so we have to be mindful that everybody's not our child. Everybody's not somebody that we need to take care of. Some of us have huge trauma in our lives. And so we are really broken and messed up people. We got huge trust issues. And so it's almost impossible for us to build relationships. When you have that kind of person in your company, you cannot hinge leadership relationships on that person because that person just can't establish relationships because something about them is broken. So when you're choosing leaders in your organization, you may have somebody that's a really good worker. They may be good at organization. They may be good at putting things together. They may be all of these things when it comes from a work standpoint. But make sure you don't take a good employee and make them a bad manager. Because if they have interpersonal issues, if they got trust issues, they're not a person that you're going to want to have in leadership in your organization. You need that person that's a relationship builder to be that one that can be in your leadership position. I always like to say one of the reasons why I did so well as a consultant and why I do well on teams is because I'm a relationship builder. I don't necessarily I probably should have more trust issues, but I don't necessarily have that. I trust you until I don't, right? And then when I don't, I realize where to place you on the chessboard, right? So I may not throw you away. I may just say, okay, this piece I got to use at a distance. Or it may be a situation where you have to say, this person can't work on the team, but you want a relationship builder on your team. Do not pick a bunch of people. And a lot of times you see this as in Black women, because we're hurt, we're damaged, we've been through so much abuse. Sometimes you cannot have a lot of us in a particular space because there may be too many of us that got relationship or trust issues. And we're just not capable of building strong and bonding relationships. So you want to be mindful of that in your business. And so when you are going through the 8 steps of atonement and you got people working to reconcile their differences, consider whether or not you have misplaced that employee, because sometimes we take a good employee and make a bad manager or a bad leader, not intentionally, but because they do their job so well, we think, yeah, they can be promoted, but everybody can't. And then some people, we also have to learn this. Every executive that I know has kind of like a pit bull in their back pocket, right? You got that person on your team who's a pit bull who's going to get it done. But if you take that pit bull and you put them out to the public, you can't tell your pit bull in the company, call this person, do this or do that, because they're going to be offending people. And then the deal that you thought you could get, you're not going to get. The people that are working with you all of a sudden going to be like, I don't want to work with that company because I don't like so-and-so, so-and-so. That's not necessarily their fault, although they should have better interpersonal skills. It's your fault as a leader, because you got to know who can be the face to the public and who's not capable of that. It's okay to have people in the organization who, they just they may be your grinder, your processor, your person who puts everything together, but they're not a good person to put out front. I was working with a restaurant and they had a person in the back who kept the kitchen clean and organized and ran the kitchen. That was not the person you want to have up front. Sometimes you may have a business and maybe your chef ain't all that friendly. You may have a insurance company and maybe your processor ain't all that friendly. Maybe you have a loan company and the person who puts the loan together ain't all that friendly, but you can rely on them. They get it done. That's just not the person that you put as the face of your company or your business or your transaction. So we have to know these things. Okay. So atonement, that is number 5. Number 6, forgiveness. Forgiveness by the offended party to cease to feel offense and resentment against another for harm done. This is oftentimes a tough thing for us to do, because when a person offends us, we feel like it's okay to carry that for the rest of our lives. I have this thing. There's a couple people that I see that were very offensive to me many, many years ago. And somebody asked me, they said, man, I was around when, this person did this or that to you. How do you move? And I said, well, because spiritually, I put them down a long time ago. So I care, but I don't care. I can go into a relationship with that person. It's just that now I know what to look for, and I'm a better person as a result of what I went through with them. There are some people whose offenses are so bad that you just say, you know what, I can't interact with you. But you have to be careful not to continue to carry that. Because if you continue to carry that, then the vibration of that will continue to affect you. It'll affect your body. It'll affect your relationship. This is how you become one of those bitter persons that can't build relationships. Right? So sometimes you got to make a decision. Do I hold on to this stuff, or do I let it go so that I can be an asset for those who come behind me? And so for me, oftentimes when people come to me for coaching and I use interpersonal situations, they're shocked. They're like, man, I would never believe that this happened to you, or that person did this or that to you. Yeah, because I'm not carrying it. That what you did to me is not going to be a God in my life. And you are not going to dictate the blessings or pinch me off from my blessings that I have going forward. So it's just something to think about. Okay. So forgiveness by the offended party, you gotta cease to feel offended and resentment against the other person for the harm done. Are you more aware? Yes. Are you paying more attention now? Yes. But are you going to carry that? Absolutely not. You can't do it. You just can't do it. It'll kill you. So there's deeper counseling mechanisms that we use. I'm just giving you all the surface level points just so that you can be mindful of them. Okay. Number 7, then there's a reconciliation and restoration, meaning to become friendly and peaceable again. So you may put down the beef. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden now y'all kicking it, y'all about to get married and go into business or whatever, but you just can become friendly and peaceable again, meaning what? Especially in a company, in an organization, you can speak, you can give the greetings. If you have to sit at the table and work with that person, you can do that, but you're not carrying it around to where every time the person comes around you, you're cantankerous and angry. This is tough stuff, but we have to work on this. And again, like I said, there are many coaching and counseling steps, leading up to this. But I'm just giving you the top level stuff. And then number 8, perfect union with Allah, God, and with each other. Meaning, then we start working through our unity. I've been on teams before where I sat down, and I remember the last interaction I had with somebody was not so pleasant. And then I get called in to do work on another team with the company, and that person is sitting right there. So how do I handle that? I know who I'm looking at, but I'm not carrying it. It is you, and your imperfections are not going to impact and pinch me off from what God has for me. You're just not going to have that kind of power. Now, if you stole from me, does that mean I'm getting ready to leave $100,000 in your care? Absolutely not. I learned that lesson, right? But does it mean that I'm going to carry that to where now I'm so distrustful and disliking of everybody? Because trust is one thing, right? Where you always want to have your checks and balances in business, right? So we call that your control steps. So when you're mapping out a process, along the way, you have to have controls in place. Things that make sure that the right order's going out, that it's packaged properly, that it's handled properly. You can have these same controls and checks and balances in a service organization, like a second signer on a check. Maybe you don't want the same person who handles the mail actually writing checks and making deposits. There's all kinds of things like that you put in place that are called your controls. And some people go, well, that's one thing. And it ain't even so much about trust. It's about controlling the process and making sure that it goes smoothly. Everybody's human. Everybody may take certain liberties. So you may have a financial advisor, you may have a CFO, somebody that you really, really trust. But you want to make sure that they have checks and balances around them. Make sure that you sign off before they move any money. You may give them a threshold. If you have a lot of money, you may say, you know what, you can't move anything without my permission over $25,000. Your threshold may be lower. You may say you can't move nothing over $5,000 or over $1,000 because they may need to pay certain things. But you may have controls in place in your system where they can't authorize a transaction over a certain amount. And it requires a second review or something like that. Okay. So that is one thing. But if your trust issues make you nasty and cantankerous to somebody in that process, so that now the person is putting together all the check requests and they see 2 or 3 that are above their authorization or their threshold. You know how when you go to the bank, if you're withdrawing a certain amount of money, they got to go get somebody if it's, over 10,000 or whatever. But if you're nasty about it, now we got bitterness that's set in. But if you just accept it as part of the process, like you would at the bank or at the store, you go, oh, you know what? How much are you withdrawing? 25,000. Okay, no problem. I'll get this set up. Let me go and get my manager. My manager has to approve this. The manager comes over, goes through whatever checks and balances and controls they have to do. Their signature is evidence of the control being performed. And then you get your $25,000 and you going on out the door. So between the two of them, because of the checks and balances, they shouldn't have an attitude with each other. It's just part of the process. And so that's kind of how we have to get to where you may have somebody in your family that you just really don't mess with. But part of the process is that Sundays you all go to your grandmother's house for dinner. So you go there and you get a greetings and you speak, you sit down, you eat your food. But you're not necessarily placing something in that person's hand that requires their flawed personality to carry out, or your flawed view of them to even prevent the bitterness. Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. So I want you to think of these controls just like at the bank. Just like at if you go somewhere and you do a transaction that's over a certain amount, they say, okay, I got to call my manager over, or let me take this, and they pick up the paperwork and they go and take it to their manager. Okay, it's in review with them and they're going to sign off on it. There should not be beefing because of that control mechanism between those two people. It's just part of the process. All right. So consider that in your businesses and consider that in your interpersonal relationships. Okay. Now it gets deeper, of course, if it's a relative, a parent, a sibling, a child, a husband, a wife, a spouse. It gets a little bit more challenging, and some of the reconciliation steps and processes and the acknowledgement of the wrong, and maybe a little bit more drawn out. But right now we're talking about utilizing the 8 steps of atonement in our businesses. So we want to make sure that we have controls, and the controls are great because they help you figure out where you may have had a breakdown. And what a lot of companies do now is those controls are baked into the system. So when we first started this whole control thing with Sarbanes-Oxley and all of that, it was paper driven. I made a lot of money as a consultant at that time. We go in and map out the process and figure out at what steps we could put these controls in. So there'd be these big mapping sheets, and then we put the controls in. And at some point back then, a lot of times it was a paper control. So you had to initial that you did the certain steps or whatever. But now most companies are automated and have these things baked into their system. So for example, going back to the bank, if you're withdrawing $25,000, my system, if I'm just the teller, is not going to allow me to just authorize it, and I can't override it. So I have to put it in there, set up the transaction, and then wait for a manager to go into the system under their login to review and approve it. And then when they review, there's certain checks that they have to go through. And then at the end, they're going to sign off. And then you get an alert on your system that says it's approved. You can go ahead and pay out the money. But the teller ain't beefing with the manager over the fact that that control is in place. All right. So I'll replay. I'll look for it when we get off of here. I will look so that we can replay utilizing the holy steps of the steps of atonement in celebration of the Holy Day of Atonement in our businesses and in our interpersonal, professional relationships, because it relates there as well. Okay. Also, as a reminder, you all, the play is November 1st and 2nd. We can't wait. We are practicing. We're practicing today, getting ready for you guys. So get your live stream tickets. Just go to ElijahMuhammadHouse.com. Get your live stream tickets. If you're going to be here in Chicago, get your tickets in Chicago to attend in Chicago. Tomorrow in Chicago here, we're going to be at Mas Mariam for the Holy Day of Atonement. You can also tune in NOI.org. But long live the spirit of the Million Man March. And brothers, I know you all feel like people are against you, but you got a sister right here that got y'all and got y'all back. And I'm okay with being one of the dinosaurs out here that say, long live the brothers. But we honor you, Black man. We love you. We support you. We thank you for all that you do and continue to do, your sacrifices. And we want you back in our lives. We want your support. We want your love. And I'm blessed, but I'm just saying, we want you back in our lives. So let's do better. Let's do right. Let's not allow our past traumas to dictate and limit our ability to have relationships in the future. Okay. So yesterday we covered a chapter of the Art and Science of Business. Y'all got your book? If you don't, go to the artandscienceofbusiness.com. There's a copy. There's a picture of the cover right there. Go and check it out. We just got nominated for a couple of awards for the book, so I am excited about that. Hope you all go and read it. A lot of you are sending me your pictures and you're doing your reviews on Amazon, which I'm grateful for as well. But let's do this thing. Let's settle our differences. Let's go into business with one another. Let's have fun in business. I'm going to tell y'all this one last thing. One of the things I miss about being in DC and in Maryland is that we had fun building the hospitals, and we would laugh every single day. And even now in doing the renovation of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, I remember just yesterday, I was thinking about how we all just laugh our way through. If you see us, we laughing, we smiling, we building, we developing. This is fun stuff, y'all. And it's fun when we're doing it together. The only time it gets challenging is when you are by yourself and you got to sit there and figure out how to do it, how to make it happen, how to blah, blah, blah. But at least if nothing else, at least if you're carrying most of the burden, have fun doing it. And what better way to have fun doing it than to do it with your family and friends? Anyway, so thank you all. Thank you for watching. Next week we'll be coming live. We got some other things we're working on. I'll keep you all posted on everything. Get the book, and pay attention to the flyers. There's going to be some more Eventbrite invitations coming out to some book signings. Thank you so much, Sister Monica. Thank you. So let's put the energy out there that we get the award, that the book is an award-winning one. Dress Code said, I honor the Black man. Keep going and growing. We love you. Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, brothers. I want y'all to see this. We honor you and we thank you for your sacrifice. We support you with all that you've gone through. We care about you. We love you here on the Sajdah channel. Okay, we love us some brothers over here on the Sajdah channel. So we have not given up on y'all. We ain't giving up on y'all. I speak for myself. In all aspects of life, we have not given up on you all. And look at the sisters in the chat that have not either. I see Dress Code here. I see Sister Monica. So thank you. Thank you, Black man. Thank you for being who you are. We look forward to seeing your growth. We look forward to seeing your development. we need y'all to hurry up with that though. But we look forward to it. Okay, family, love you all very much. May Allah bless each and every one of you. Happy holy day of atonement. Don't forget to support the play. You could do that by going to ElijahMuhammadHouse.com. If you can't make it in person, you can live stream. If you say, you know what, I don't know, I'm busy on that day, just, donate, support, because this is the type of programming, and wait till you all see what we got happening for Black History Month. I cannot wait to show y'all. Okay. Anyway, love you, Black man. Happy Holy Day of Atonement, and long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Assalamu alaikum.